Great Smokies and the Appalachian Trail. On contact so far, it's getting late, so I may not make it today. We're gonna see what happens.
I did the solar install completely at my own risk. And if you have any reservations about doing your own solar install, I highly recommend that you seek out a professional solar installer.
Hey everybody, this is Will, KO4DFC, and I am in the garage tonight, and I'm going to walk you through my solar panel install on the Hammobile Jeep. So let me show you what I've got going on here, and we'll get right to it. So I've got a 100-watt solar panel. I've got some Z brackets here, which I'm going to attach. And the way that you do these is you actually slide it up under the panel like that. The panel goes right here on the other side of these two tabs. And then this part bolts down to whatever your mounting surface is, which is going to be these $50 special crossbars from Amazon. I got these are the 47-inch ones. I'll post a link in the video description. But pretty cheap. They were overnight, so they came next day. And what I'm gonna do is put those Z brackets on the panel, and then I'm going to drill holes into these crossbars and mount the panel on the crossbars. What I did not want to do is on the Jeep itself, these are OEM crossbars, and I like those a lot. So I didn't want to mess those up. I've already got my super antenna mount up here for when I want to run HF on the Jeep. So I'm just going to put these bars in between here to support the panel. And that way I can also take the panel on and off pretty easily, like if I want to run through a automated car wash or something like that. But the idea was to put something on there that won't damage anything on the original vehicle, and will also give me some flexibility if I want to swap pieces in and out. So I've got the panel on the roof, but as you can see here, the holes are over at the very edge here of the crossbar. If I go to the back, they're also very close to the edge. So I'm not sure if I need to flip these Z brackets around and have the holes over on this side, because if I do that, I should be able to get the center of the rail. The problem is I can't move the rails over any farther because this little piece sticks off of the OEM rails. So I've been able to flip the brackets around, but what you may be able to notice here is it's going to be difficult to get screws in here and like a screwdriver or something above this to run this down into the rail. So what I'm going to do is put this up on the Jeep, mark the holes, and then what I'll do is I'll have to remove the panel, drill the holes, put the brackets in there, and then I'll put the panel on top, and then I'll put the rails and everything up in one shot. All right, so now I've got it up on the roof of the Jeep again. You can see this is much better. Those holes are right at the center line, which is great. I've even got a little bit of space between the antenna mount and the panel, which is probably a good thing. I don't want them touching, at least. So now I'm gonna mark where those holes are, and then I'm gonna get drilling. Turns out I couldn't actually get my Sharpie into where the holes were, so I just marked where the edges of the Z brackets were. I'll put the Z brackets on, drill the holes to attach the Z brackets, and then I'll attach the panel after that. These screws came with the Z brackets, so I'm just going to use this to try and drill down through this metal. I've got a 5/16, I guess, what do you call that? 5/16 adapter to, or drill socket, I guess, to go on this. And that should do the trick to drill it into these rails. You can see I've got it marked where the Z bracket fits right at those markings, and I'm just gonna drill straight down through that center hole. So I've got 3 of the brackets on, and I'm finding that setting of about 18 pounds is just right to get the screws in and secure without stripping it. I ran into a little bit of a problem. What you may not be able to tell is this rubber strip, when I screwed things down the first time, didn't let this bracket go all the way down flat with the rail, and the rubber kind of bunched up under it here. So I've pulled the rubber out. I'm just gonna cut this here, put this rubber piece over here, which you need on your rails just for wind noise to reduce it. And over here, a couple of my screws got stripped. So I just took a metal bit, drilled through the Z bracket, and now these are tightened down. That's good and secure. So I feel better about that than what I had before. All right, so now that all my brackets are screwed into the rails, I'm just gonna attach the rails to the solar panel. Okay, and here's the finished Hamobile solar panel install. These are on tight. I can rock the whole car. With this, it's secure. And yeah, I'm just gonna run these down through the back hatch. And if I wanna run them down the other side, I can. All I'd have to do is just turn this around. So, because the whole piece comes off. So, all right, we'll see how this does.
What I ordered on Amazon, you'll see this in the link. I ordered the Calvi 47-inch crossbars. That's COWVIE. What came were the 2Enjoy crossbars. They work, but just a little bit different. Couple of things to note with how I set this up. And this is from the manual, there's a max weight of 75 kilograms. Also, your rail has to be a minimum of 18 millimeters high and a max of 40 millimeters high. That's about 1.5 inches, the 40 millimeter measurement. And they clamp on with this thing. So just to show you what my rail measurements are, there's a 1/2 inch gap here. They are 1.5 inches wide, and then I think they're 0.8 inches high, and they've got a little bit of a taper to them here. And those are OEM rails on this 2006 WK Jeep Grand Cherokee. Also, just so that you have the exact specifications of this rail, once again, it's a 1/2 inch gap, 1.5 inches wide, 7/8 of an inch high, and it has a 4 3/4 inch, so 4.75 inches circumference when I measured it with tape. I just took the Jeep out for a spin. This is still very secure. I did not hear any wind noise really driving it around town speeds. I didn't get to take it on the interstate, but so far so good when it comes to wind noise. I think the rubber inserts here, they're holding up okay with the way that I cut them and kind of put them at the ends of each of these brackets. Okay, now for the initial test of the panel. Got everything hooked up, and it's a little bit cloudy today, but I am getting between 2 and 3 amps from the panel. And now that the sun's coming out, that's really picking up. Yeah, sun's coming out. It's a lot brighter. It just came out. Now that's up around 6 amps. That's great. So yeah, good initial good initial test run for the new panel on the Hamobile Jeep. I'm not sure if I showed this before, but I'm just running the cable down through the door hinge, and then it comes down here to the power box. I'm gonna put a couple of PowerWorks Anderson plugs here. I'm
I need a 1 1/8 inch hole saw, so I'm just going to drill 2 places there and run these plugs through the side of the box. There's a 20 amp hour eco-worthy 12 volt lithium iron phosphate battery inside this box, and it's just secured here in the back of the Jeep, so that gives me a completely isolated battery system from the car battery, which I want if I'm going to go park at a park and run POTA all day on my ham radio. Now, one last note for the ham radio operators out there. This is a cheap MPPT 10 amp charge controller I got off Amazon. It's great in that it's MPPT and it's cheap and it works with a variety of batteries. The problem is that I am almost positive that this is going to put out a bunch of nasty RF when you're trying to run an HF radio. So I'm going to try connecting my Renogy 10 amp controller later in a separate video, and we'll see how that works in terms of RF noise, and it should do just, I mean, that Renogy is a PWM controller, so it won't do as well as an MPPT in terms of efficiency, but it'll be good enough. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope this helps if you're trying to set up your own solar setup for ham radio or for other stuff. And yeah, I'll catch you later.